Would you say you're the most two-footed player in the league?
It's nice to know when I'm dribbling with the ball, they don't know where I'm going. He's brave. He's so brave. Like, he doesn't like sitting back. He hates it. If you don't run, you're not playing. It's just simple as that.
Talking on pundits, they get on my nerves a lot sometimes, and they're not talked about. So, do you know what I mean? So, do you take much notice of their comments, and do they get on your nerves a bit?
That's where I am today, because I've had that mindset that I want to prove myself. When you're playing with players with so much quality, you have to up your game. Like I said, it's game by game, but I think everyone individually in their heads is thinking that, you know what, there's a chance here. Don't get me wrong, I feel like every player wants to play in the Champions League. Every player wants to play at the top Premier League clubs. They'll be lying if they said they didn't. I do see the news, I'm not oblivious to it, I do see it. When we played against them away, he won every header, thinking this is crazy. You think the ball's a magnet to him.
Best player you've played against?
I think.
Welcome back to Ball Talk with me, Lewis Bryon, and today I'm joined by a very special guest, Bournemouth attacker, Ghana International Antoine Semenyo. Antoine, how are you, mate?
I'm all good, thank you, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, mate. I'm all good. Last time we spoke, it was probably just over a year ago now.
Yeah.
And since then, you've obviously had quite a 2024, if I say so myself.
Yeah.
How's it been for you overall?
You know what, it's been great, man. It's been great. Like, I think over the last year, I've been able to see myself develop so much in the league. I feel like it's props to the manager, you know. It's props to the manager. The manager's, he believes in me so much, and I can see it in my game now. Like, he just gives me that free roam to kind of do whatever I want to do, but then also be helpful and efficient for the team as well. So, yeah, man, this year's been good so far, and, you know, may it continue this year.
Yeah. We'll get onto the manager later. But this season, Bournemouth, you've beat Spurs, Arsenal, Man City, Man United. Currently 7th in the league, I think.
Yes.
And 3 points off the Champions League spots. I mean, most people wouldn't have thought that at the start of the season. But did you and the team? Did you expect that?
I think we just wanted to carry on what we've done from the last season. To be honest, obviously beating the points record for Bournemouth was a start, but I don't think we thought we would be as high up as we are right now, to be fair. But again, it started from pre-season. Pre-season was so good. Everyone was just ready to go. Manager was just relentless, as he usually is. And yeah, like, I don't think we're as surprised. I think as a team, we're so good as a group, and everyone just worked hard. And if you work hard, you reap rewards from that. So I feel like that's what we're reaping right now, to be fair.
Yeah, so it's more like just focus on the process game by game, and you didn't really set like massive like not expectations, but you didn't really set like a specific goal as a team then, I'm guessing.
No, you didn't. It was just kind of like building on what we've done from the last season, really, and see if we can do a lot more better. And from what we're doing right now, I mean, it's definitely heading in the right direction. So yeah, we just need to keep going. It's all game by game. It's a process. We don't want to put too much pressure on ourselves.
So there's not the aim now is like you're looking at that top 4 thinking, right, we can get that.
Well, I mean, like I said, it's game by game, but I think everyone individually in their heads is thinking that, you know what, there's a chance here. There is a chance. So if we give a right go till the end of the season, who knows what will happen.
Yeah, of course. When you're that close, you can't not
exactly.
Look at it. You know where you are, don't you?
Exactly. You know, I look at the table quite often. I'm just like, you know what, 3 points. You win 2 games, you're in the top 4. Like, but again, like, it comes down to not putting pressure on ourselves, because once we start putting pressure on ourselves, then that's when it becomes more difficult, and you have to sustain that as well. So I feel like we can, but I feel like how the manager is going to bite is the right way. Yeah,
of course. Keep doing what got you there in the first place.
Exactly.
Talking about some of the teams you just beat, like I mentioned before, when you go into them games like Arsenal, Liverpool, City, you know they like to keep the ball, you know they like to dominate possession. What's like your mindset going into them games against them big hitters?
You know what? It's like, I think for me individually, I just want to prove myself. I want to obviously one day, God willing, get to that level, play for the top clubs. But I feel like you just want to prove yourself. You want to make it like uncomfortable for them. I think that's the key word from the manager always says to us, and everyone says just being uncomfortable. But I feel like with the way we play, we'll make it uncomfortable for every team. Like, regardless if they have 99% of the ball, we'll still make it tough for them. So I feel like every game is just like, you know what, we're not going to sit in the mid block and let them pass around. We're going to press, make it uncomfortable for them. And then, be clinical on the other side of things. So, it's like just relentless, press them, make it uncomfortable. And, I think it's worked out in loads of those games.
Yeah, I think most teams, when they see they're playing Bournemouth, they'll think, right, regardless, we're in for a game here. Like, it don't matter which way you look at it, that you're going to be in for a tough game. And I remember when we last spoke, you said about Iraola, the sort of tactics he gave you, or the info he gave you, was just don't hold anything back. Don't save yourself. I remember you saying, if you need to come off in the 60th minute, that's fine, but give everything. Has that message just stayed the same throughout?
Yeah, it stayed the same. Every time we were just about to go out, boys, don't hold back. Run. If you need to come off in the 50th minute, you'd rather that than you saving yourself in 90 minutes kind of thing, because then it defeats the purpose of what our philosophy is. So we know we've got players coming off the bench who are just as good as the guy starting. So, you can maintain that for 60 minutes. Knowing full well, if you do come off, you've had a right go and you've got someone that's coming to replace you, that's just as good.
Yeah. And I know firsthand how hard it is for managers to get their players to constantly run as hard as they can, give everything. I think Iraola's a top manager. And I don't know, what do you think it is that enables him to, get that belief and trust from you? Like, what makes him special?
This episode is sponsored by TornSports.com, and I've got a lovely pair of sliders here. Every footballer's dream. What else do they do, Lou?
They do grip socks, all heights. So,
nice.
They've got the ankle ones. And they actually do, I don't know, the footballers' trend these days is where they have the little cut in the back of their match day socks.
Yeah.
So they do them as well.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so they do plenty of different socks and obviously sliders. So.
That's sick. Yeah, these sliders are very nice. If you want to grab yourself anything, head over to TornSports.com and get yourself something nice.
You know what? When he first came in, it was kind of like, okay, like we've got a Spanish manager. I've never had a foreign manager, so I didn't really know what to expect. But I remember the first training session was just loads of running. I was thinking, surely this is not what it is. Surely. But as it's gone on, started winning more games, beating the bigger teams, it's kind of like, you know what, like, as much as players don't want to run in that aspect, it's helping us get results. So everyone's buying into it. Everyone's like working hard together and believing what the manager says and believing his tactics. So yeah, he's very different from other managers I've had previously, and he's brave. He's so brave. Like, he doesn't like sitting back. He hates it. He honestly hates it. He's like, if you don't run, you're not playing. It's just simple as that. I think that's go-to. If you run, make it uncomfortable for teams, then opportunities will always come. We'll always catch teams on the counter. Always catch them when they're building up from a goalkeeper. So yeah, like, it makes him, he's very, very special, very different. I would like to say very,
Well, that leads on to what I was going to ask next. With you mentioned about he's very different from previous managers. Is that just the intensity and demands he puts on you? Is that the difference between the previous managers you've had?
Yeah, I think with the previous managers I've had compared to him, it's like, you play against the top team, for example. It's not always, you go and press, keep them high up, make it uncomfortable. It's kind of like, you sit in the mid block, hold your shape, let them play around you. When you can press, you go. If you can't, stay in shape. But I feel like with the manager now, he doesn't like the sitting in the mid block. He hates it. That's like last resort. If things aren't going well on the pitch, we need to stay in the block for 5 minutes. Even that, he hates it. So I feel like every manager I've had is like, kind of work together, work the spaces, make sure you're shuffling across the line kind of thing. But with him, it's like, even from the goal kicks, before the goalkeeper is even taking the goal kick, you can hear him in the background saying, press high, high, high. So it's like, it's just kind of what we've bought into, really.
Yeah, and I suppose if you're getting, like you said at the start, if you're getting the results off the back of that, it then just makes it easier and easier to actually do it. If you're doing that every week and you're losing, then you're not going to, 2-3 games, you're going to stop, aren't you?
It's funny because I mentioned it to someone in the changing room over a week ago. It's like, imagine if we were pressing this much, running this much, and we were losing every week. Everyone's head would be gone, honestly. But the fact that we're winning games, no one's really saying anything. But don't get twisted. The running is a lot. It's a lot. If you look at our stats running after the game, everyone is running over 9K, including the centre. So it's a tough shift, but I think with the training we do, we're so used to it, we're so fit. So it's like when it comes to games, it just feels like second nature.
So do you think it was like actively worked on? You know, is it like a mindset thing, do you think, where people just don't want to run, or do you need to be like, some people aren't just fit enough? Even some people in the Prem, they're not just fit enough to maintain that.
It's a bit of both. I feel like mindset is like, you know what? There's times in the game where it's mentally tough for everyone in the team. I feel like sometimes you get to like 60, 65 minutes and, you know, you need that second win to get going again kind of thing. But to be fair, you've got a lot of guys in the team who are like, you know what, their mindset is cool. It gets to 60 minutes, 65, everyone's starting to get tired, but it's like they push you, give that extra urge to go and press kind of thing. So I think it's a bit of mindset, but then it also comes down to the player individually himself. Like, if you know this is what the manager wants, you got to do it. If you want to play, this is what you got to do at first before everything else comes into it. So if you don't buy into that, then you got no chance of playing.
Yeah, you got two options: either do it and play, or don't. And
yeah, literally.
Do you work on fitness during the season a lot? I know, like, obviously you got obviously your match fitness. You're going to get natural fitness from training, but is there like still, as you would in pre-season, fitness specific sessions?
No, you know what? There isn't. But when we do a lot of tactical work, it's so like in-game based. So we're doing a lot of running in the tactical. So it's like we do that week in, week out for every game. So it's like by the time it gets to a game day, as tired as we are, we're just so used to it, so immune to it. So it just feels normal.
Yeah, it's very like specific work then, I suppose.
Yeah.
On this season, who would you say has been the toughest team or match you've played in?
Do you know what? It was so we played Everton on the weekend. When we played them at home, I think that was our toughest game. I think they're like our bogey team. We find it really it's really uncomfortable to play against them. Like, Calvert-Lewin's good in the air. Pickford booms the ball so far, so it's kind of like they get so much possession inside their area because Pickford can kick it so far, and Calvert-Lewin can bring it down and bring players into play. So I feel like if you look at our first game against them last year, for 86 minutes we struggled so bad. Like, we're trying to catch them on the press, they were picking out the gaps between us. So it was tough. I think they are our bogey team, but yeah, I think that was one of our toughest games.
Yeah, that could be the styles as well. Like you said, if Pickford's so good at going long and they've got a target man, and you just want to press, that's when maybe it becomes tougher.
No,
who would you say the toughest player you've played against this year, or defender? Someone like you go into the game and think it's going to be a long day today, or a tough day?
I think Destiny Udogie, Tottenham. I was suspended the game before the Tottenham game. So, like, obviously, you miss one game, it feels like you've missed like 9 games. You feel like you're not fit. It's crazy.
Oh, I know, mate. I know.
But he was definitely the hardest one I played against. He was just so up and down, and the way Tottenham play as well, they're quite similar to us in terms of running. They work hard. They run a lot. So he was taking me back and forth sideways, and it was just it was tough. But I'd say he was the toughest one I've come up against this year.
Was that simply because he made you, like, you had to track him all the way back and then you're all the way forward, or was it one defending ability?
I think it's like going back and forth, if I'm honest.
You're doing enough running as it is.
Exactly. So I'm having to track him the whole way. And I think our tactics that game was like man for man. It was more man for man most of the game. So I was having to stay with him most of the time. If he dropped deep, I would have to go pressing deep. If he's going in behind or running, I have to track him as well. And then also with the press as well, it's hard. It's hard to maintain that the whole game. But I think, he made it a hard game for me because I didn't really want to run backwards, of course. Every attacker wants to be going forward. So he was taking me backwards the whole time, and it was tough.
Yeah, mate, he's been top this season, to be fair. He's been a great player.
He's been good.
We'll get onto you a bit more personally, okay? A bit more about you. So this season, am I right in saying you've scored 5 goals in the league, this is, in the Prem, 2 assists in 19 games?
Yes,
and so a good return, especially for you're playing out wide a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, well, some people may know, some people may not. You didn't play for an academy growing up.
Yeah.
You've played in all 4 English leagues.
Yeah.
And the level and consistency of your performances seems to just keep getting better and better, like month on month.
Yeah.
Would you say the last 12 to 18 months has been the biggest growth you've had in your performances?
Yeah, 100%, 110%. I feel like when you're playing with players with so much quality, you have to up your game. Like, if you don't up your game, you're just going to be behind. You're going to be behind. You're going to be losing the ball consistently, and it's going to like defeat the purpose of how creative and technically good the team is. So I feel like I've had to adapt from playing as a 9 in the Championship to playing out wide in the Prem. I feel like it comes down to being fit. I feel like if you're super fit, everything else in your game becomes a little bit more smoother. If you're unfit, those things you will struggle with a lot. So I feel like, last 12, 18 months, I've had to develop. I've had to develop in some sense, and I feel like it's worked out. It's worked out for the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's so true what you're saying. Like, you think about everyone when they're fresh. A 10-yard pass is easy. You're going to make it.
Yeah.
Your shot's going to be high quality. You do that 90 minutes when you're blowing. That's when your quality starts to come down.
Starts to go down.
Fitness levels is key, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you know what? It's funny because sometimes I watch podcasts on like the Premier League and just like what people think, their views, and half the time what they're saying is right. It's a lot of running. Now, it's not like skill based. It's a lot of running. You have to be fit first. That's like number one thing. If you're not fit, you're going to struggle. Like, there's so many athletes in the league. So if you're not up to par or above them, it's gonna be tough for you. So like I said, once you're fit, super fit, everything else is just a lot more easier.
Yeah, for sure. On that, just going back onto like this what you said is you're probably the biggest improvement you had the last 12, 18 months.
Yeah.
You've mentioned fitness, but what would you say that is down to? Like, what else for other players listening who are maybe in a similar boat, Championship, not like League One, lower leagues?
Yeah.
What is that down to? What advice would you give?
I think it's down to mindset. Like, I can be honest, I'm not the best of runners. I'm not. Like, if it comes to a fitness test in the summer, like, I'm not number one. I'd be lying if I said I was. But I think it comes down to mindset. I feel like I've had to apply myself and switch on so much mentally in the last 12, 18 months that now this feels so much easier. Like I said, I'm not the best of runners when it comes to fitness tests and stuff. But if you apply yourself, like, really push yourself to the limit, like, push yourself when you're uncomfortable, because that's one of the manager's mottos is like, if you can push yourself when you're uncomfortable, when you are comfortable, the sky's the limit for yourself. Yeah. So I feel like I've had to push myself into so many uncomfortable positions, so many uncomfortable places in my mind. But like, you know what? I've been eager. I'm just ready to work hard, and I just love the game. So whatever I need to do to raise the bar, I'll do. And I feel like my mindset has changed so much in the last 12, 18 months. So it's really pushed me to where I am today, if I'm honest.
And I feel like the experiences you had previously, like at one point thinking about quitting football, all of that, coming through all that will help give you the confidence and resilience to actually push through the moments. Yeah,
no, 100%. I feel like, again, it goes back to mindset. With things happening in the past, like, obviously not great, but then I feel like that's where I am today because I've had that mindset that I want to prove myself. Regardless, I might be doing well, I might be doing bad, I still want to prove myself. So I feel like in my head, that's where I'm at. With every game, every training session, I want to prove myself and just show people why I deserve to be here. So yeah.
And talking about like you deserve to be here, right? Going from playing Championship striker, Premier League pretty much as a winger. Was there a moment that you realised or you like solidified that right, I belong at this level, I'm good enough for this level, or was it always the case that I can do it?
I think it was always the case that I could do it.
Yeah,
I always knew I had that ability, being able to dribble, being able to use right and left foot, but I feel like I just needed that opportunity. So once I signed for Bournemouth, it was kind of like the next step was, okay, I've signed for Bournemouth now, but I need to show why I deserve to be here. People can sign in the Prem and not be able to show what they can do at 100%. So I feel like for me, it's like, cool, I've got here. I haven't made it yet. I don't care how many appearances I would have made by now. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I think it's just every game showing why I deserve to be here, showing the coaches why I deserve to be here, and just proving to myself as well. So yeah, it's like, even to this day, I still have that same mindset. I just want to show people why I deserve to be in the Prem.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the reasons why you deserve to be in the Prem, you're amazing off both feet. That's widely spoken about now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if you want to give this away, but do you have a strong foot?
Yeah, I do have a strong foot. What do you think my strong foot is?
I mean, you've told me before. I'm pretty sure you're right. No.
Yeah, it is my right. Yeah.
Yeah. Was this something worked on, or was this something like, was that hours and hours on the training pitch, or was it something that come more naturally to you and you just sort of harnessed a bit more?
I think it was a lot of training, a lot of work behind it, a lot of work behind the scenes where people wouldn't see. Like, I think a lot of hours have gone into just practicing repetition, passing, dribbling, shooting. Like, there's a lot of work behind it. So it's like loads of hours on the pitch, loads of hours outside of football as well, doing work. And yeah, I'm happy it's working, man. I'm happy it's working. But again, it just all goes down to practice.
Yeah, it's definitely working. So would you say like 12, 13, 14, there was a lot bigger difference between your right and your left?
No, I wouldn't, because I
really?
feel like when I was young, that's when my dad kind of taught me
the
way. So like by the time I was 8, 9, I remember my dad saying, he's like, no, my mum was saying, how come he can use his left foot and right foot so well? It doesn't make sense. He's 8, 9 years old. And my dad was just like, yeah, like now it just feels so normal. And it just came down to just like kicking little things in the house. And then dad would take me to the park and do the same thing. So from young, I've had it, but yeah, it's obviously maintaining that. So it's just all in muscle memory, just repetition constantly. And even to this day, I still work a lot on it just to make sure I perfect most actions.
Yeah, I mean, it's them early years and early teenage years where you can get the most, benefits from practicing your technique, I suppose. Like you're going to improve more them years than, let's say, in your 20s, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. Like once you're doing it as a kid every day, like I said, in your muscle memory, it just become very normal. So like now, it's just normal to dribble with my left, even though I'm right-footed. It's normal to shoot with my left. It's normal to shoot with my right. I can do so many things on my left, same way on my right. So, yeah.
How much of that is down to your time at Bexley District?
I tell you what, there is a lot of time. I have a lot of time for Bexley District. I tell you what, it plays a key part. It plays a key part. Of course. Like in game scenarios, like I feel like cool, you can train on the pitch with your dad. Like that's unopposed. In game, it's like you really see like, is it working? Is it not working? And I feel like by the time I was playing district, like just felt normal. Just felt so normal. So yeah, man.
Would you say you're the most two-footed player in the league?
I have to be. I have to put myself up there. I have to. I try to be like really calm about it and try not to big myself up. But I feel like I have to be. I feel like I don't know what the stats are behind this, but I feel like I've dribbled more with my left foot than right foot this year.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's even a thing in the league. I don't know if they look into that, but I dribble more with my left than my right. So within that I have to be up in that discussion, 100%.
Yeah, and it's actually such an underrated asset. Like no one really speaks about it. No. Where it's so common to have like someone who's stronger with one foot, a winger specifically, and you almost half know where they're going. And if they're not going that way, the quality's not going to be as good. Like it's a lot easier for a defender where when you get on the ball, they literally don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, you know what? It's a blessing in disguise, man. It's a blessing in disguise. I feel like that's helped me like be fluid during the season. Like it's just like it's nice to know when I'm dribbling with the ball, they don't know where I'm going. Because if they know where I'm going, it'll be easier for them to mark. But yeah, like I feel like things have changed over the last couple of games where I'm starting to get doubled up a little bit more, tripled up. So it's a little bit more harder, but still like having that ability to go both ways. And have defenders scrambling. Yeah, it's a great ability to have.
Yeah, I mean, that's another problem to navigate. Once you start having more and more good performances, you're going to get doubled up. But I suppose that opens up elsewhere, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I feel like that's where my game's developed a lot. I feel like maybe 12, 18 months ago, if I was getting doubled up, I'd try and beat them, try to do the most to beat them. But I feel like now it's like understanding, like, appreciate you're getting doubled up, like maybe move the ball quicker. Play it off 1 instead of 3 kind of thing. So just like more game understanding as well. So I feel like that's where I've improved massively.
Yeah, 100%. And growing up and even now, like did you look up into look up to any specific players and use them for like inspiration for your own game?
No, I think the guy that I looked up to was Drogba, and that's because I was always a 9. I always loved to play 9, but I feel like now I don't really know who I look up to, if I'm honest. I think one person I used to watch a lot when I was injured at Bristol was Bryon, who's at Monaco.
Okay.
My assistant at the time, Keith Downen, he told me my game is very similar to his. So while I was injured, I used to watch a lot of his clips. So I feel like now that's the person that I kind of look up to in some sense, because he can go both ways very comfortably, very strong, very quick, good finisher, good in the air. So I think, he's the person I look up to at this moment in time.
Yeah, nice. And Drogba's a good one as a kid as well, wasn't he? I suppose he would have been prime when you were, you were like 12, 13.
Oh man, honestly, I look up to him so much. If I was still playing in the 9, he would be number 1, 110%.
Yeah, nice. You mentioned about podcasts and listening to other people's opinions on that about running and fitness, but talking on pundits, do you like? They get on my nerves a lot sometimes, and they're not talking about me. So do you know what I mean? So do you take much notice of their comments, and do they get on your nerves a bit, or?
To be honest, I don't pay attention to it. If I'm honest, I don't. I really don't. Like, they have their own views and opinions, and they're entitled to that. But I don't think it gets to the point where it gets on my nerves, if I'm honest. I think a lot of fans do get like a little bit pissed off with what they have to say. But I don't think they need to take it too personal, if I'm honest. Like, everyone's got their own opinions at the end of the day. So just have to leave it at that.
Yeah, sure. Okay, so Anton, talking on like pundits, they of course, when players hit good form, but over a long period of time, they start speculating on moves, especially if they're not at one of the, the Champions League clubs already, for example. Yeah. Is this something that's on your mind, or like a future goal, or is you just Bournemouth, that's it, and you worry about what happens later?
I think, don't get me wrong, I feel like every player wants to play in the Champions League. Every player wants to play at the top Premier League clubs. They'll be lying if they said they didn't. But I feel like, for me, it's like, if something happens, great. I mean, I'm not putting any pressure on it. I feel like, for me, I'm just taking it game by game, day by day. It's all a process. I think for me, it's like, there's so many goals I want to fulfill this year with Bournemouth before thinking about, okay, this is the next step kind of thing. I feel like there's so many things I want to do first before, the top clubs come running. I mean, God willing, that's the case. I would love that. But yeah, I think it's all about right now, to be honest. Like, if I'm not playing well, those talks don't happen. So I've got to make sure I'm performing consistently, game by game by game. And by the end of the season, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I mean, and if you were thinking about stuff like moving to other clubs in the present moment, it's just going to take away from what you're doing now, which has got you to that place in the first place.
Exactly. So I try not to think about it too much.
Yeah.
Like, I do see the news. I'm not oblivious to it. I do see it. But like, even with my agent, I just say, like, look, like, I don't want to know anything. Like, if there's something for me to know, like, tell me. But if there's nothing, really, don't say anything. So like, he's been great with that as well. Like, he just doesn't really say too much unless I really need to know something.
Yeah, it seems like Iraola's really like got that environment where it's blinkers on. Next, just take it game by game, focus on the process, and everything else just will fall into place.
Yeah, exactly. Like, we've got so many top players in the team who've got all sorts of speculations. Real Madrid, this one, PSG, that one. So it's kind of like, I feel like there's a lot of us in the same boat, but like, we're so focused on what's going on now, and we could do great things this year. So I feel like everyone's just tunnel vision. Everyone's just focused on what we're going now. Do what we can, consistently perform. Top games, all the big games coming up. If we can get those wins, it brings us closer to European places. So that's what we can do.
Yeah, and transfer rumours can start from like they can have no like merit behind them at all. Like, my mum could put a tweet out saying someone's moving, and
literally
people jump on it, don't they?
Yeah, people believe it. It's crazy, honestly. But yeah, that's the football world for you, I tell you.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, we'll finish off with some listener questions. All right. Some we got sent in from the listeners. Yeah. Interested to hear about this one, actually. If you could pick a 5-a-side team, no goalkeeper, from the players you've played with, Who are you picking? You can pick yourself, of course. And
you
me.
know, I'm not, listen, I'm not picking myself, first of all. Okay. Oh, I'll go Dom Solanke, Lloyd Kelly, Mohamed Kudus,
Yes.
Thomas Partey, and I'm trying to think of a defender. I'll go Dean Huijsen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm having that team. Did you play with Partey at International, is it?
Yeah, international.
Yeah. Okay,
man,
nice.
That's a top team. I think we win every five-a-side tournament. I'm not even joking.
You reckon?
Yeah, 100%. Me as the gaffer as well. What the manager says, I'm comfortable, go and press. This is five-a-side. What pressing, honestly.
Just quickly, this isn't a listener question, but what's your thoughts on Thomas Partey? Like, how have you obviously trained with him quite a bit now and played with him? What do you rate him as a player?
I think he's top. Honestly, I think he's top. Like, you can see in the Arsenal games, like, when he plays in the six, everything's so controlled, everything's so relaxed. Like, he even plays right back at times.
Yeah.
And, like, he still does well. Still does really well. I think he's a top player. So, like, when people are criticizing him and stuff, I just don't understand why. Like, he's, like, near enough a complete six. Can work for you. When he gets the ball, he's nice and tidy. Pass appreciation, retention is so good as well. So, yeah, man, he's top for me, man. He's top.
Yeah, I agree. I think the biggest compliment you can pay him is you see Arsenal with him in the team and Arsenal without him in the team.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not.
It's not the same. And that's something I noticed. Like, when I train with him at Ghana, I could just see the level, like, the difference between some of the midfielders in the Ghana team to him. Like, it's massive. Like, that experience, just that control, like, so composed as well. Like, he knows his next pass before he gets the ball. So,
yeah,
that's a great attribute to have.
Yeah. Right. Second question: best goal you've scored in your career?
I'm gonna have to say, I'm stuck between two.
Yeah,
so
you can say both.
Okay. So I'm gonna say my second goal against Luton, and the goal last year against Southampton.
Okay, and if you had to pick one, could you?
Yeah, Southampton one.
Yeah.
Southampton. Yeah, man. That one's my favorite one. I think that's the best one I scored. 100%.
Yeah. Okay. Nice. Like it. What do you get up to outside of football?
If you see the gaming set I have behind this iPad, you know what I get up to. Honestly, just gaming half the time. I like photography as well, so I have a camera. I have a couple of cameras, to be fair, and I just take pictures of like random things when I'm taking the dog on the walk. Could be like the bushes, the forest that we're walking into, just little things like that. So I'll say those two are like the most things I do most of the time. It's either gaming or I'm out taking loads of pictures of weird things.
I like that, to be fair. I like that. What's the game of choice at the moment?
FIFA, NBA. I've even just re-downloaded GTA because some of my boys are playing it at the moment. But
no way.
Yeah, Call of Duty as well. Like, it just depends how I'm feeling. I get back, turn on the PlayStation headset, and it's like, I'm going to play FIFA today. And I'll play for hours. Like, I'll play for 6 hours on the bounce. Foot champs, head rolling, dash my control, left, right, and center because I'm human that I've conceded. But yeah, those two things are the things I do most of the time.
Are you a pro clubs man?
I am a pro clubs man. The boys have even gone missing, to be fair. Pro clubs is it's like finding a ghost at the moment.
Listen, we should jump on.
Listen, I'll replace them. Honestly, I'll gladly replace them. Honestly, because they ain't played in ages.
Okay, well, maybe we'll get that sorted.
No, I'll get that 100.
Who is the most underrated forward you've seen in the Prem?
Underrated. I would say Chris Wood, Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
What that man does for them, honestly, is so crucial to the way they win the games, the way they play. Like, you might not be the most appealing on the eye, but just the basics is perfect. Like, the keeper kicks it long. You need a target man to get it down, bring people into play. Like, he does that. He wins every aerial ball. Like, when we played against them away, he won every header. Thinking this is crazy. You think the ball's a magnet to him, but Like he's underrated, criminally underrated. Like he's so good.
Yeah, I think he's got. I think he might have the best shot to goal ratio in the league
I
as
think
well
so.
this year.
Yeah, I think I've seen something along the lines of that. So
which is insane to think, isn't it? But fair play.
Honestly, he's very good. Very, very good. Yeah.
Good shout. Couple more. We spoke about you've played in every English league. What's the differences? The main differences between the four, let's say Prem, Champ, League One, League Two. Like, which jump would you say is the hardest?
I think it's funny because when I was in National League and I moved to League Two with Newport, I think that was like one of the hardest transitions for me. Because like don't get me wrong, Prem and Championship, like it's tough. It's very, very hard. But I think when I was 18, I think that jump from Bath to Newport was so tough for me. I found it so hard. Like even if you were to get the manager I had at the time on board, he would probably say the same thing. Like it took me a long time to get used to how things were in League Two. It was so hard for me. It was like near the later stages of the loan when I got recalled back in January, like the last 2 months before then is when I started to pick up. But from when I got there in the summer, it took me a long time to solidify myself in the team.
What was the hard part of that? Like, was it jumping like the physicality of it at the time?
I think the physical side of things, and I think it's just like surprisingly like conference. Like, it wasn't the quickest when it came to ball movement and stuff and tactical side of things, but like when I got into league, I was thinking like this is proper men's football. This is not just men's football. This is league football. Like it's not as easy as people think. Like it's not as easy as you get the ball. You can dribble past everyone and no one's gonna touch you. Like you get the ball, the first thing the defender's thinking about is lifting you, and you get lifted. I tell you what, you get lifted, and I had a few of them in my time, so I know how it feels. But I would say that jump was tough for me at the time when I was 18, but it's definitely the Championship to Prem. That one's obviously the toughest one, 100%.
It's interesting because I reckon a lot of people, a lot of fans looking from the outside would have thought sort of National League to League Two, even to League One, is all like a bit samey.
Yeah, it's not.
You know what I mean? But it's not.
It's not the same. I'm telling you, it's tough. It's tough. It's not easy. Like when you're down bad, you are down bad, and the only person that can pick themselves up is yourself. If you don't pick yourself up, you're in trouble. You're in serious trouble. So, like people might see it from the outside and think, "Oh, League Two, League One, it's a breeze." It is not a breeze. It's hard. It's so hard.
Yeah, of course. Right, two more. Best. I suppose you might have answered this, but best player you've played against. You mentioned Destiny Udogie earlier.
Yeah, I would say,
or even just like best player. Not, it doesn't have to be like 1-to-1 coming up against, but
yeah, okay. I think Suboslai for Liverpool.
Yeah,
he's top
player.
He's so good.
I love him.
Listen, he is very, very good. Very good. Like his work rate, let alone like his technical ability.
Yeah, he can. He like I was looking at him the other game, and he can actually do everything to like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, no. He's like an all round midfielder. Like I've got two people in my head. It's either him or Gravenberch. Like those two, like they are serious players. Serious players. Like them two in the midfield, that's like a cheat code. Like they can do everything. They can defend. They can get back when they need to. You give them the ball, they're magic on the ball. So
it's a long day against them.
It's a long day, honestly. When we played them at Anfield, we didn't have a bad game. We actually had a quite decent game, but they literally ran the show, if I'm honest.
Yeah. What was the score when you played at Anfield?
Yeah, we lost 3-0.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, we lost 3-0.
Well, that leads on to my next question, actually, the last one from the listener and of the episode. Who is winning the Prem this year?
It's Liverpool.
Yeah?
So, yeah, man. Like,
why do you think it's just too big a gap?
Do you know? I don't think
it's just the way they're playing.
I don't think it's a big gap, but it's like the way they're playing. They're so efficient. They're so efficient. They're doing every side of things right. Like when it comes to the defensive side of things, everyone's doing their part they're scoring goals left, right, and center. Salah, his numbers are ridiculous. Like they just score loads of goals. Like as a group, they defend well, and they've got near enough a complete team. So yeah. I think they're gonna win the league, if I'm honest.
Yeah, that hurts me, man. But and it's like I expected a drop off. It does hurt me. I'm going to be honest. But I expected a drop off. Who do I think?
Yeah.
What? It depends. If I have to if I was putting
no. Listen. Who's going to win the league? There's no anything behind it. Who do you think?
It's Liverpool.
Yeah. All right. There we go.
I might have to cut that because I can't. No, I'm joking. I'll keep that in. But that hurts me to say, man. It actually hurts me to say. It's there for the taking. I'm an Arsenal fan.
Listen, I understand. I relate to you. I know what you mean, but like they're just too good this year. Like they've been so good in every game. The only game they've lost is Nottingham Forest.
It's insane. And 90% of people, but in between the two, between last year and this season, thought they would drop off. Like new manager, some players are getting obviously a year older, but they just look better.
They look better. I think it's Arne Slot. The tactics behind it, I don't know what it is, but it seems to be working, and it's working every game. Like every game, they don't look like they're slowing down. If I'm honest.
No, they look in control in matches, don't it?
Yeah, they do, man. So I have to say that. Honest.
Yeah. Well, on that note, we'll leave it there, Antoine, and I appreciate the time, mate.
No. Thank you for having me as always, bro.
Yeah, be a good chat. Maybe we'll catch up again this time next year. Make it a yearly thing.
Nah, anytime you're ready, bro, just let me know, man.